Dynamite download.
But to me, there's no bigger star in AEW. There's nobody that I care about more. And I can say this with like my hand to God. My favorite wrestler in the whole world wrestled again for the first time in almost a whole year. I was so excited to see him back in the ring tonight, and I couldn't have picked a better opponent because the Blade. I was giving him love on social media because I mean the Blade to his credit, that dude is a workhorse, man. That guy is a physical freak, and we saw what happened in the bunkhouse match. What he was willing to put himself through to entertain the fans. That was as physical of a match. And it was clean. There was no weapon, there wasn't a bunch of weapons or anything crazy like that. But when you're talking just two guys beating each other up, high impact, make you feel it at moments where you're cringing on the couch. That was this kind of match, right? Too physically, and I thought it was hilarious. They were talking about the top, and this was something the Dark Order, Alan from Dark Order was talking about. This is the match of the dream abs, the match of people who love abs. You get to see the Blade versus Pac, the two greatest abs in all of wrestling going against each other. But just two physical specimens beating the hell out of each other, pulling nothing back. And we also got to see one of my favorite entrances in all of wrestling right now is the Butcher and the Blade and the Bunny. Those guys just absolutely kill their entrance.
Oh, I agree.
You're not going to piss in my Cheerios, right? You were excited about this match. This one's going to be an elite from you. Come on, bud.
I'm not going to piss in your Cheerios at all. And, this match to me, I wish it was a main event. You have this re-debut of Pac, and to me, he is a very, 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 very top star, very high up there. Right now, currently, he's not the top star, but, I think he'll get back up there eventually. But it would have been nice to have this be a main event. But as this was leading up to the show, as I saw the show progress and how I saw the show end, I get why it wasn't, and it was perfectly placed where it was. This match to me was definitely an elite. Not to be overly critical, I thought this lasted a little bit longer than it should have. I think Pac re-debuting, you should have put him over a little bit stronger. That being said, Blade is not a pushover. And,
No.
I have not seen him in a singles match look this good. And so it really was showcasing Blade too. It didn't, he did not lose any strides. He looked very strong. And Butcher and Blade, this will be next week, 3 weeks in a row that we're seeing them. And I'm happy about that. We were talking on social media all week about the bunkhouse match, and, getting some interactions with Butcher and Blade, and we supported it and we loved it. And even though I know it was a little bit too colorful for me, but overall it was great. We didn't see Pac since March 11th. Wow. And, on top of the match, we had Eddie on commentary, which was definitely necessary. And anytime he speaks on commentary or in the ring, it's gold and fire. And the only thing, like I talked about earlier, was the length of the match and the picture-in-picture. They should have just spared that extra expense and just had that go through, and they could have shortened it a little bit longer, made Pac look a little bit stronger. And not, I'm pulling at Eddie Kingston, Pac, whatever your fucking name is.
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm saying it wrong. I'll always call him Pac. I know I think it is Pac, but
we'll just call him the Bastard. He's the Bastard.
Call him the Bastard. That's right.
So I thought the finish was great. Outstanding finish. The match was definitely an elite for me, and everything that transpired after the match was everything I've been predicting for months and months and months. You
have
the Death Triangle. It just made sense. It was like, this is a perfect time for Pac to come back because, Eddie doesn't need all these guys. He doesn't need a posse. It was great and is great, but it just makes sense to have a much bigger feud, a bigger picture. If Pac comes back and gets, Ray and Penta back and then battles the Butcher and Blade, like this battle between these 6 men are going to be brutal, and it's going to be great. It could headline any pay-per-view in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, and I can understand why you'd said like this should have been the main event, right? Because the reuniting of the Death Triangle, them coming back together again, is a monumentous moment. I think that there might have been a little bit of there might have been a little bit of apprehension to put Pac on again at the main event after some people really had a very negative reaction on social media about how he's not a game changer and da 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 da. They're wrong, but
Yes,
but
they're wrong.
I can understand why Tony kind of maybe hedged his bets a little bit.
It was
that's
placed
okay.
perfectly. I think it was.
That's okay because honestly, they delivered. It was an incredible match. And I have to say to counter you as far as, you know, the match going on too long, we can't have it both ways in the sense that like we want the Butcher and the Blade to look more credible. Honestly, we want them to have a push towards the world tag team titles. I think that those guys are really underrated. We talked about that on social media and the Instagram post. We talked about them potentially being the most underrated tag team in all of wrestling right now. So you can't have it both ways, right? I mean, they still need to look strong, and for this is going to be a long feud, right? The Death Triangle versus Kingston's family, that's going to last a while. And so you do need to have some of these guys, they need to look equal, right? They need to push each other. And you have to have that balance of power.
Trade wins for a little while.
Work out, right? So I felt like it was good. I was entertained the entire match. I felt like these two guys, the way that they both approach their offense in a very similar way, right? I think that obviously Pac is more of a high flyer, and that's where he gets that edge. Is he has more of that acrobat side to him, whereas the Blade's just more of a ground and pound brawler. But both guys are so physical in their matches that like it was one of those matches you could feel watching at home. So I was a big fan of it. I mean, I don't know if I'll ever give Pac a bad, you know, I don't know if he'll ever get a delete from me. I'm trying to temper with not giving him my top performer every single week. So I'm trying to make sure I'm holding that in as far as that goes. But I thought it was a great match. And it certainly planted, we talked about this earlier in the show, it planted seeds for future weeks of television. We already want to see months. I mean, now you're like, they finally did it. The Death Triangle versus Kingston's family. I mean, the amount of matches that can come out of that, the amount of programming that can come from that. I'm incredibly excited. We haven't even talked about how Eddie Kingston's heart's going to be broken with Penta turning on him and joining up the Death Triangle again, right? That's his best friend. So there's so many things that are going to come out of this. Really excited about where this is going to go. And it's one of those, I mean, honestly, yes, Moxley versus Omega is the most important thing on the horizon. But this is the feud that I am just, they got me. They got me hook, line, and sinker, man. I am totally on board with this. They could drag this out for the rest of the year at this point. And I think I'd be happy with that. I mean, take this all the way to Revolution, where, you know, you get to see Kingston versus Pac man to man. That would be my dream scenario. I love Kingston on commentary, but like he wasn't hitting it for me tonight. Maybe it's just because I'm such a Pac fanboy. I was getting like butthurt about it. I was getting a little upset about some of the things he was saying. But like when you talk about like Pac sitting at home eating Oreos, and you're Eddie Kingston and you look like me, and then you're talking about Pac sitting at home looking at eating Oreos, it didn't work. I don't know. I thought it was not his best performance on the mic tonight, but I felt like the Butcher, the Blade, they showed incredibly well. The Bunny is that's a nice addition to that team again. She really adds like that, like kind of that crazy, psychotic, sadistic side to the team that I really enjoy. I really think that this feud is going to go places, and I think a lot of fans are going to be really happy with what's to come.